Hi there, I'm here with Chris Tomlin. You probably don't need to know who he is, but just in case, he is a songwriter, singer, worship leader, and for the first time ever, he is dipping his toes into the world of film. He is behind a new movie called The Last Supper, which is being released in theaters March 14th. Are you a movie fan yourself? Do you go to a lot of movies? I can't imagine that you have a lot of time, quite honest.
I have 3 little girls, and then my life on the road, I mean, unless it is, Frozen or, Snow White, Cinderella, I'm not seeing much of it these days.
Yeah, I totally get that. I totally get that. You probably are singing "Let It Go" just as much as anybody, right?
Oh, buddy. Oh, Moana, we got Moana going through the house at all.
So, Chris, fantastic to talk with you. I'm so excited to talk with you. Obviously, you've made a huge impact in the world of music, but this is the first time, to my knowledge, that you have sort of dipped your toes into the world of filmmaking. Why now,
Yes.
and why this movie?
It's great question. Yeah, how in the world am I in the world of movies? I'm asking myself right now with you. Um, so this one started obviously, well, like you would think it started with music, and guys came to me and they said, "We're making this movie. We got this movie, and wondering if any of your music could work with it." And I was like, "Well,
Mm.
yeah, it'd be great." And they had already been working on the movie, and they said, "Hey, let's show you what we got." And I was like, then immediately I was like, "Wow, this is incredible. This is." I was so moved instantly of how powerful this movie was made, and it just felt like it was like the Bible coming in black and white, coming to color, it's like, "Whoa,"
Yeah.
and just the way it brought the scriptures to life, and it was so, like, theologically, like, just powerful, of grounded, and accurate, and so I was like, "Yeah," guys, I was like, "I love this," and so we started talking music, and I said they said, "Do you have a song that could work with this?" I was like, "Well, I just written this song, actually. I've not played it for anybody. It's brand new. I got a demo of it. I'll play it for you guys. I'll play it for the team, for the production team." And they're like, this is perfect. It's like exactly the movie. And so when you watch this movie, when you watch it, whenever you get to see it, the movie play in the theaters, and when those end credits go and my song starts coming, it you would think that I just watched the movie, grabbed my pen, and wrote the song from there. I didn't even know the movie when I wrote the song, and that was just like another moment of, like, God was like, "I'm putting this together. I'm
Yeah.
connecting you guys." And so I was like, "How can I get involved in a greater way? How can I be involved in a greater way, helping get this word out to people? Because this is an important movie, this is an important moment in time, and it's so beautifully done." And so, yeah, I've never done this, but I'm not gonna put my name behind something I didn't feel like that was, like, theologically sound and, like,
Yeah.
especially when you make a movie, right? This is not Hollywood. I think people see a movie and they're like, "Oh, Hollywood's trying to mess with the Bible." It's like, no, these are people who love the Lord and creating this and that want this to make an impact, and so I'm honored to be behind it.
That's great, that's great. Was there a moment in the movie as you were watching it that you said, "This is something I wanna be involved with somewhere?" Was there one single moment where you said, "Okay, this is."
Buddy, how can it be that there's several, and I'll mention a few. One is I was really, moved that Jesus, obviously, the movie is The Last Supper of Jesus, but I'm not sure he's a central figure. He it's Peter and Judas, and you're watching this through Peter and Judas, and you're like, "I've never seen a movie that takes on Judas like this," and, like, he's usually the guy with, like, "Let's not talk about Judas," right? And, but it's so powerful because it so humanizes, it so brings back, it reminds you that these guys were not superheroes, they're not mythical creatures, these were real people, these are real guys, real ragtag guys, and I love how the movie does that, and you're watching through how does Judas I was moved, I was like, how does Judas, who's been there within 3 years, right, sees all the miracles, sees everything, and yet could do what he did because of power and greed, because of greed and power, wanting that power, and he today? I think so. It's just like,
Yeah.
I wanna follow God, but there's all this but greed comes in, the thirst for power pulls us away. He betrays Jesus. Peter, right? I mean, that the Peter character, everybody knows Peter, all the things, but when you see it in this movie, you're like, "My goodness," and just like you think, he's the one, "I will die Jesus, I will die for you. There's
Yeah.
no one I'm your bodyguard. I'm with you forever. I will go to the death with you." And then an hour later, a little girl in a courtyard. It's like, "Hey, are you with him?" And he's like, "No, no, 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 no." Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I thought, "That's me." I thought,
Yeah.
and I think people watch it, and then, sorry, but I keep going, but it's like, but then Jesus stands at that table, right? And he brings the guys together, and he breaks the bread, and he says, "This is the reason I've come. It's
Yeah.
for this moment. It's why I'm here." And yet he knew sitting at that table was Judas.
Yeah.
It's Peter. He's gonna deny me. He's gonna betray me. And yet I'm still saying, "This is for you." And, like, how inviting that is for people watching this to be reminded of the forgiveness of God, the grace of God. This is for all of us. There's a line of the in the on the poster, it says, "All are welcome at the table."
Yeah. Yeah.
And that is great. That's
That
that's
is.
the beauty of this ever.
Well, and I totally agree with you. I mean, when you're looking at the characters that you have here, it deals with Judas a lot. It also deals with the character of Caiaphas, who I've never really seen unpacked, as
Yeah.
deeply as you see in the Last Supper here. I thought that that was so interesting, and you see Jesus's love for everybody who he comes across here, including Judas, including Caiaphas, come through, and that's really kind of great.
It's amazing, yeah, Caiaphas, right? This you don't see much of him, but when I went to when I went to Israel, I got to go to Israel a few years ago, and I took a group, and I got to lead worship all these places, and the tour guide took us down. He said, "I want to take you down this place that we don't take many people," but he said, "It's becoming," he said, "We're still working on the ruins, and it's." We went down underground, like, a lot of the ruins are in Israel. He said, "This is Caiaphas' house. This is Caiaphas' house,"
Mm.
and we're
Wow.
and so we've just been in Gethsemane. And the scripture says they took him in the night. And you see that in the movie. The soldiers take Jesus in the night from the Garden of Gethsemane and take him
Yeah,
to Caiaphas, put him in jail. We're standing in Caiaphas' house. We're standing in the courtyard.
yeah,
And we start reading that passage where Peter denies Jesus in the courtyard of Caiaphas' house. And I'm standing right there.
man.
And I'm just like, whoo. And then to see Caiaphas in this movie portrayed just like you maybe not have thought he would be, but just so jealous of Jesus. So, because Caiaphas loved the power, he loved being the guy, the religious leader. Now here's this other guy that everybody's coming to follow. Like everybody, why is everybody following him? Why does he have all these gifts that I don't? And man, it's just so humanized, so real, you know?
Yeah, yeah. One of the quotes that I've seen you say in relation to this movie is that worship. You've often said that worship is more about seeing than about singing. Can you unpack that a little bit? Tell me a little bit about what you meant by that.
Yes, I was always trying to do that in my music. That's when that's what I've always want my music about. I feel like if in my songs, if I can help people see God's goodness, see His mercy, see His grace again, you can't help but sing. You can't help but worship if you see. The more you see, the more you sing, right?
Yeah.
And so that's what I always try to do. So when I've written songs, I'm like, gosh, does this help people see it again? Can they see it in a new way? And so this film, right? So it just is a perfect marriage, right? Being involved with something where you actually do see with your eyes, something that maybe opens your eyes, and marrying that with music and all the things, I think it's just going to move the heart in such a special way.
When we're talking about seeing, not singing, I would imagine your upbringing. I know that you were raised on a steady diet of Willie Nelson, from what I understand. Your dad was a huge Willie Nelson fan,
I
right?
was. I was. Yeah.
And I would guess that, from that country music environment, it is always such a visual picture that is involved in country music. Is that one of the reasons why music and images is so firmly connected?
Maybe it is. The storytelling is just this second to none. The best in the world is the country songwriters that's telling stories. But yeah, my dad was Willie, Waylon Merle, all those Johnny Cash, all those guys. Which when I was a kid, I didn't know that. I had no idea my dad was that cool. Now I'm looking back. Oh, like oh, my dad loved. He was like cool. I didn't know that as a kid. This is what we listened to. But yeah. I mean, I think I had the love for music, the love for the storytelling, and worship is different. Because worship you're really just helping people give them a voice to worship God,
Mhm.
but you find those little ways to help people see it again. Well, but for example, where at the cross, and when that line came, "Where your love ran red and my sin washed white," I'm like, that's like a visual. thing for people.
Mhm.
Angel, I know who goes before me. I know who stands behind. The God of angel armies is always by my side. And you can see like this it help people like, "Oh, man, I'm surrounded by armies of angels with the Lord," and, like, those kinda things are gonna do in my songwriting, and I feel like this song, "No Greater Love," that
Yeah.
was isn't that's on the for this record, it's for this movie, sorry, is the same. I mean, what I was trying to say, we were trying to it's John 15, "There's no greater love than this, than a man lay down his life for his friends." That was the verse where the song started, but just trying to paint a picture of what that looks like, of the love of God. The verse starts with, You left all the glory of heaven in the crown of heaven for a crown of thorns. You
Yeah.
you know, you did the it was just these pictures of God, and you would leave the 99 to save the one. Those kind of things, those pictures from that you're trying to paint for people, like, reminding them, and so, always trying to do that with my lyrics, and then to get to be a part of the film, that you
Yeah.
actually get do that is pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, yeah. So tell me a little bit about No Greater Love. You mentioned that it hadn't been written for the film. It felt like it had been written for the film, but do you remember what you were thinking of when you had penned it? Why did you write the film in the why did you write the song in the first place?
That's a great question. I'm so excited you asked it because the story. So some song as it is in Nashville, you get together with some friends to write songs, and they were saying, "Hey, a couple of my buddies that were funny. We're talking about this. They're in country music. They're all country songwriters. They're like, we're going to do a song. We're doing a writers retreat. We're going to Idaho. We're going to Ernest Hemingway's house." And it's a national landmark, and you can go there and write in the basement. They have poets come, they have writers come. They use it to write, and he said, "We're going to write for a few days. Would you like to join us?" I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" And I was like, "Yes." And so I thought, I'm going out there to write with them, their songs, their genre. And if first song we work on is like, "Hey, we'd really love to work on something with you." And one of the guys, Matt, his name is Matt Jenkins, he said, man, I just keep thinking about this. I just love that passage, "No greater love than this, and a man lays down his life for his friends," and he said, "Would that be something we could work on?" And I was like, "Let's do it," and so we all started coming together. They have so much, they've obviously, this country music, they have that gift of storytelling, and it's like putting that together with my world is kind of smash up, and it was this song, I didn't know what I'd ever use it for, and then 2 weeks later, I'm standing in front of these people, there's like, show me the Last Supper movie, I'm like, "What is happening?" And so, just beautiful, how things come together.
Oh, that's awesome. That is really incredible. So I would imagine that songwriting is not always that collaborative. I would imagine that it's a pretty solitary exercise for the most part. Would you say that that's where most of your songs come from? Sort of solitarily, you're just sitting down, working through a verse, working through lyrics, that type of thing?
Yes, I have a lot of ideas. It all comes from, yeah, that moment, the inspiration of just being alone, being quiet, and then grabbing this thing and my voice remote and stinging something into it. Um, but then collaboration has been the power for me. I've like
Yeah,
the friends that I write with that come together. I'm like, "Hey, I've got this idea. What would you guys help me finish it?" Or, "What do you think about this idea?" And then like sharpening each other and bringing and making it so much better than I could by myself.
yeah,
And that's where I found the power. A great example is I said, "Man, I'm so moved by Revelation 13," and it says, and it's talking about of heaven, the worship of heaven. It says, and they came together and they sang the song of Moses and the Lamb.
mm,
And I
mm,
was so moved by that. I was like, wow, heaven is singing a song of a man, and they're singing a song of the Lamb. They're like, this is interesting, and like they're singing the old and the new, right? And it's like the old and the new. This new song of the Lamb and the old song of Moses, and I'm like, wow, I want to. And so I was talking to my friends about that, and so we just started this little um 1,000 generations falling down. And the original was to sing the song of Moses in the land.
wow,
Now I changed it to ages.
wow,
Sing the song of ages in the land. And now it's what it is now. And then my buddy said, I've been working this song. I've been had this idea for another song. And he says, I don't know if it fits, but it's like, your name is the highest, your name is the
yeah,
greatest, your name. And it's like, whoa. And it led into the Holy Forever. But that's the collaboration of like when it comes together and putting pieces together, it comes into something so strong.
yeah, yeah. I have tingles, actually. That's really cool. That's really
Yeah.
amazing. So,
Yeah.
um, When you write a song, do you know immediately that it's gonna resonate with people? Are there songs that you've written that you love that just haven't hit the mark with the wider world of Christianity?
Great question. Yes, every time I'm like, there's songs that some maybe people know, like that are like, come on, they'd be the B sides. That what they used to call it, right? That I think are that I thought at the time this is going to be the world changing song. And it just
Yeah,
it didn't. And then there's songs that are like, I did not know it'd be like that. I'm a perfect example. How great is our God? I was like, that's a simple song. Would never dream. Neither did my whole team. That was the 4th single we released off the record. It wasn't even the first. Like, it was the album called Arriving. Like, what if like, it has a song called How Great Is Our God. If I would've known, I would've called the album How Great Is Our God. I mean, like, I knew it was that great of a song. Yeah, I have no idea on something like that. But Holy Forever,
yeah,
when we finished that when I finished that and I made this little demo on the piano and the vocal, I was like, I sent it to my got the record label at Capitol, Brad. He still has the text. He read the text back to me not long ago. And I forgot I texted this. I said, "I really feel like there's something special with this. I don't know what it is, but I feel something special." I don't ever say that because I don't know. And so that one, I was feeling something when it was happening, but a lot of them, I just try to write songs and see what happens, you know?
yeah, yeah. I know we're running short on time, so this will be my last question for you. Um, you have mentioned in the past that whenever you do a performance, whenever you do a concert, your prayer is that people have an encounter with God. Would that be the same for this movie? What would be your prayer for this movie?
Thank you for that. Yeah, I really feel like this is a chance. This is an opportunity for people. What I love about something like this is that there'll be people walk in. They'll never walk in the door of a church, but they'll walk into a theater, right? And it maybe it brings them with that. Okay, I can do that. I'm a little skeptical of this Jesus, but I can go in the theater. Oh, especially around Easter. What is this about? And I know, but for Christians, I know their hearts can be stirred. But I pray for those who are like searching, that their heart is pierced and stirred and like, wow, is this really true? Is this really? And then the hope, right? The hope of this of the hope of the resurrection, the hope of Easter. This is coming out around Easter, right? And the hope of that is to the world is people need that. The people are longing for that more than ever. This world is so broken, so hurting, so dark, and yet there's a hope, the hope of Jesus. And I know when people walk out, they're gonna be stirred like me. The same reason I saw it, and I was like, I gotta get involved with this. This is amazing. I know people, and that they'll realize again. I've already said it in the interview, but they'll realize that they're welcome at this table. It reminded me. I'll say this one last thing. You know, the table. It's interesting. This movie's built around it. A table, the Last Supper. And it reminded me of Revelation 3, whereas these are Jesus' words in red, and he says, "I stand at the door and knock, and if anyone opens the door, what does he say? I'll come and dine with him at this table."
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it's like this invitation of like, so I pray people realize they're invited to the table. They don't have to have it all together. These guys around the table with Jesus, they surely didn't have it all together. So yeah, Jesus, like, it's for you. And so I pray that people still feel that.
Thank you so much, Chris. Really appreciate it. And thank you for watching and listening to this. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, do all those things that we always ask you to do on YouTube. And remember, The Last Supper is out in theaters March 14th.